Hi there YouTube, this is the Magnus bringing you another Total War Warhammer online ladder battle. Today I was commanding Bretonnia and my opponent chose Warriors of Chaos. Not necessarily a matchup that I think is great for Bretonnia, but I don't think it's a bad one. And I bring a relatively standard Bretonnia army with 5 men-at-arms polearms. I have 3 peasant bowmen. I have 2 of the Grail Knights, 2 paladins with they're mounted, and I have 1 damsel, King Lewin Leoncoeur on a horse, and I have 2 field trebuchets. Now I opted to go without flying here so I could get a little more ground game, as I feel the Warriors of Chaos are very strong on the ground. Let's take a look at my opponent's play. He went with 3 Chaos Marauders, 2 Chaos Warriors, 1 Chaos Spawn, 2 Chaos Warhounds with Poison, 2 Chaos Warriors with Halberds, 1 Dragon Ogre, 1 Exalted Hero. I thought there was 2. Yeah, there's 2 Exalted Heroes, and Prince Sigvald, the Dead Sexy Magnificent. Although I don't know where he's hiding at. There he is. Alright. So this map, you know, you have this big bump or hill in the middle, so I opted to go left of it. My opponent did the same. So I'm going to kind of realign my army here to face him and get everything into position where I want. I put one of the Grail Knights up on the hill so I can get good vision and see everything that he has, and the other one I swing out far to the left. Now the biggest challenge, again, in playing Bretonnia against the Warriors of Chaos, in my opinion, is dealing with the fact that you do not have elite infantry. The best you can get are men-at-arm polearms. Now they do have armor piercing, and they're quite good against large, but generally speaking they're going to be outclassed by Chaos infantry. Now that's not going to be as much of a factor because of my opponent bringing a good bit of Chaos Marauders. But basically Chaos Marauders are not that horrible against Bretonnia, whereas I wouldn't really bring them against any other faction. As you can see, my trebuchets start to unload. I'm focusing on the Chaos Warriors for now. His Dragon Ogres are concerned because of their anti-large, so they're going to be a real potential problem for my Grail Knights. But he only has 1, so he can really only focus on one side. You're going to see I push out my Paladin over here, because I want to either use it to help out my cavalry or to try to come in and help get into the infantry. So I do the same thing on both sides, as you can see. He continues to push forward. Due to the terrain, he's going to get a downhill on me, which is unattractive but virtually unavoidable in this situation because he has a lot more mobility than I do. But I also think the terrain kind of negatively affects the effectiveness of my trebuchets, which is not a good thing either. My archers start firing, but his infantry line is well shielded, so again that's going to reduce that effectiveness. So I do believe my opponent did a good job of counter building for going against Bretonnia. So now I'm going to charge my infantry forward. I want to create some space so it's harder for him to punch through. For the time being, I hold back with my Paladin on the left. On the right, I send him out to support my cavalry, because there's an Exalted Hero over here, Warhounds, and he's sending over also the Halberds and the Dragon Ogre. So a lot going on over there. On this side, I send the Paladin into the fight, and I'm going to bring my cavalry in. And I'm also going to send the King into the middle on this side to try to start to beat on that Exalted Hero. I continue to fire on these Halberds because they're not engaged, so it's less likely to hit my men as far as my artillery. And my missiles are firing into the ranks as well. Now over here, my Grail Knights, because I'm so busy over there, I'm not properly cycle charging them, but I don't know how well that would do against Dragon Ogres anyways. But I am trying to get the Paladin to work this Exalted Hero down. Without leadership, I'll have some advantage, I believe. So over here, his Warhounds go down to the Grail Knights, and the Grail Knights get into his Halberds from the rear, which is going to be good for me. So I'm hoping I can start to roll up on my left side. On the right, he's retreating, so I think I'm going to put these men-at-arm polearms either into the Dragon Ogres or into this engagement. But clearly, my Grail Knights got a pretty grade A ass whooping over here on this side. So now I have my artillery focused on his Dragon Ogres, but you know, not necessarily going to be enough to deal with them. His chaos spawn I've been focusing on so far with the archers, and it's just about down. But this obviously worries me. He's got all these guys coming into here. Now, the infantry engagement has become a very small ordeal because it's mostly just his Exalted Hero and Prince Sigvald that are doing work. His Chaos Warriors have had enough for the most part. He's chasing down some of my bowmen with the Dragon Ogres, and I believe they're going to end up in this fight here. They are. He realizes the importance of that engagement as well. The Chaos Spawn are still alive, but they don't have much left in them. They just dropped, so that's going to allow me to retarget with a lot of my units. Over here on the right, the Men-at-Arms polearms are still going head-to-head with the halberds here. It looks like he's trying to work his way around me, and I'm beating on him all along the way. The whole time, the damsel's been debuffing and buffing. I think she's as critical to a Bretonnia army as the runesmith is for the dwarfs. Your infantry is going to be inferior. They need the advantage that she can provide, so I think it's absolutely essential. So the Curse of the Midnight Wind is what the debuff is, and it really minimizes the effectiveness of almost any unit because of the penalty to melee attack. So again, he's going after my peasant bowmen. He's obviously not thrilled with me having them on the field. My paladin that ran, I finally used his healing potion, so he's going to be able to get back in the mix, although it's going to take him quite some time because I do not want to attack halberds with him. So I'm going to hit these marauders and then head in. My archers are firing at the Chaos Warriors that are now in my line, and I'm also going to do the same with my artillery in an effort to get rid of them. But again, he brings in another one, so he's doing a very good job of creating confusion in my back ranks, but he hasn't been able to, get rid of these guys early on. You can see a good bit of ammo has been used by all of my ranged units, which is always an indication that you've gotten decent value out of them. Almost always, I should say. I need to bring these guys back in, I do, but there's not much left of them. And right now it's really about trying to get rid of Prince Sigvald. And he's, at least for Bretonnia, he's pretty tanky. And his ability to regen health certainly helps him out quite a bit. But we did get rid of his Dragon Ogres. I've got my Paladin chasing them off to make sure they don't come back. Some of his Chaos Marauders return, but I'm not too worried about them. His Exalted Hero is all but done. And Sigvald is now quite beat up, and things are finally consolidating as far as to my advantage, and that's going to lead to a Pyrrhic victory, so not exactly a sweeping one. Let's take a look at how the units did. Our infantry was pretty darn effective. I give a lot of that to the damsel, but also their armor piercing and ability to hang in there. The peasant bowmen did not get a lot of kills, but they did kill and do severe damage to some of his more expensive units, so I feel they did their part. The cavalry did well, one far better than the other. The field trebuchets, I wasn't real impressed. Now, I don't know if that was terrain or seeing as I haven't played Bretonnia in a while, perhaps the field trebuchet is not as good as I'm giving it credit for. And again, it is only a 700 gold piece for an artillery unit, so it's not very expensive, but I still expect better results than this for them having been there for virtually the entire fight. The paladins did their job. They eat up a lot of damage, they eat charges, and they're pretty good at fighting other lords. And King Llewellyn Leoncourt, he really doesn't impress me if he's not on his flying mount, but the +8 melee attack that he gives to your army is invaluable. It really, along with the damsel, again, allows your men-at-arms to be much more effective in the same way that the dwarfs get that benefit from the runesmith and from Thorgrim. Taking a look at the Warriors of Chaos, his Chaos Marauders did okay. His Chaos Warriors, one did extremely well, one did okay. The Halberds are alright. His Chaos Warhounds were not effective. The Chaos Spawn, for 1,000, didn't do that great. The Dragon Ogre was a fantastic pick. The Exalted Heroes did okay, and so did Prince Sigvald. So what would I do different if I was my opponent? I don't think it was a bad idea to have some cheaper infantry, but I would have liked to... I would like to be more aggressive here. The shields are almost a necessity, and I get that because you know I'm going to bring bowmen. But these Chaos Marauders really aren't that good, and I don't think this Chaos Spawn is a good choice because of my archers. So if you took those out, you could get more Chaos Warriors. The Warhounds were a good choice. I just don't think they were used right. I think you should have held them in reserve or worked them way out wide on the flanks so that they could get into my missiles, because that's really what the Chaos Warhounds excel against, is just chewing up missiles. They're also pretty good against artillery. The Dragon Ogre, you know, I wouldn't make any change there. I thought that was really good. So it was nice to play Bretonnia again. I enjoy them as a faction. They have a very limited roster, but virtually everything they have is usable, which I think makes them interesting to play, because there's, you know, you might have like the Warriors of Chaos or some other factions that have a lot more units available to them, even the Dwarfs, for example, but a lot of them are just a poor choice in 90% of battles. So with Bretonnia, you know what you're getting. Both our infantry are effective, the bowmen are effective, the artillery is effective, all the cavalry is playable, with the exception of the mounted yeomen. And I think the mounted yeomen are about the only thing, that and Pegasus Knights, that I would stay away from in Bretonnia. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the battle. If you learned something or just enjoyed watching it, please like, please subscribe. They're just buttons, and all you have to do is click on them. And it does help me out a lot. Until the next time, this is the Magnus. Thanks again, take care, and see you on the ladder.